This is the Dave and Shecky Show. We got this groovy podcast for ya. Reviewing crazy tunes or quoting Twain and Sting and Dune. We'll bring ideas to share like bonus points for extra flair, cause it's the frickin' Dave and Shecky Show. This is the Dave and Shecky Show. We're bringing you this groovy review. We might preview movies, bake some bread, or drink some smoothies. So come on, have way too much caffeine. You roll up some rivers, I'll reference some Raffy. This is the Dave and Shecky Show.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode number 23 of, I'm going to assume, one of your favorite podcasts, since you're still listening. It's the Middle-Aged Cool Kids super terrific podcast featuring your pals
Jeff Berlin and Bunny Brunel.
I guess I'm Bunny.
Of course you are.
I don't know why you would say that, but who are Jeff and Bunny?
Come on, you know
tell.
Jeff Berlin.
Jeff Berlin and Bruni
You
Putel.
saw Jeff Berlin at the Iridium.
I saw Jeff Berlin at the Iridium. Okay, so he's a jazz guy.
He's a bass player.
Okay.
Jeff Berlin and Bunny Brunel are both fretless bass players or have played fretless.
Okay.
And they were, they weren't quite Jocko, but they were innovators in their own right.
And you say they were, are they both passed away?
No, they are both around, but music has died.
Well, okay. But maybe not for them. Maybe they're out there still doing their thing.
Oh, they're still doing their thing,
Okay.
getting paid enough to eat at McDonald's. Yeah, they're doing it.
Is that the guy that we kind of like, when we walked home that night, it looked like we were following him? Or was that from a Mose Allison thing?
Oh, that was the bass player from Mose. I think that was Ratso Harris.
We went to the Iridium one night, and then after the show was over,
We happened to be walking in the same direction as the bass player.
and it seemed like we were following
30
him.
feet behind him.
Exactly. And
How did he pack up that quickly and get out? And what is that?
I don't know, because I know that we're not lingerers, you know, and we're not like just going to chill out and stay for another drink or whatever it was. That, as fine of an establishment as the Iridium is, I really do love it there. But yeah, he was in front of us, and he keep like turning around. I felt like we should dip into a store or something and wait 10 minutes because it was really weird how close we were behind him.
That was almost as bad as Brad Garrett.
No, you've told the story about Brad Garrett. The Brad Garrett thing barely happened.
I felt like he was going to squash me with his snakeskin boots.
He was a big man, but look, he came out of the back of his thing, got on an escalator.
Hey.
And we were there. And we hadn't even been to the Brad Garrett comedy store or whatever it was.
It's just Diamond, Brad.
Yeah.
Oh.
But he was with I remember he was with like an insanely beautiful person.
Well, you know how most people are smaller than you think they are? He's bigger.
Yeah, Brad Garrett was a huge person. Anyway, so so much for the start of the show. Okay? Yeah. Let's get on to it. So this month is October, and as I had said last week, we're going to try and do spooky types of things this month.
Spooky.
Speaking of spooky things, at the end of last week, I uploaded the show as I had done 21 episodes before that. And this time, the wrong episode uploaded. And I don't know how it happened. And this is to the iTunes and all of the radio, audio-only type places. And I don't know how it happened because I named the shows in numerical order.
Need a spirit box.
So number 22 is nowhere near number 1, which is the show that somehow got uploaded for a day. So that's a spooky thing. The second spooky thing that just happened is that for the first time, us doing this show, at least this MACK podcast, I don't know about shows that we did years ago, I hit record, everything seemed to be fine, and 10 minutes in, I look over. It's not fine. I'm not recording, only Dave is.
That's why you're Bunny Brunel.
That's why I'm Bunny Brunel, apparently. And Dave did a whole thing. Instead of saying Bunny and Jeff, he said George and Zap. We went into a really...
I didn't say George and Zap.
What did you say? I was Zap.
I said Roger and Zap.
Roger and Zap.
George and Zap is a whole other thing.
Okay.
That's like George Clinton
Enough.
and Zap.
So we went into this whole thing about Spooky Tooth and Badfinger, and it was delightful and entertaining, and we'll have to talk about it again. But when we restarted the show, Dave did not have the energy to pretend he hadn't already said all of this stuff, which I find is actually great.
You know, pardon me, brother. Can you spare a spirit box?
Don't
I have a spirit box. A brother down on his luck. I just need a spare spirit box. You got one?
We will be doing an episode about stuff like that.
Just one spirit box. Come on, man.
Okay. This is not that episode.
Oh, how about $2?
Okay.
Can you spare $2?
I want my $2. Anywho, here we go. As you can already tell by the title of this podcast, we are going to be talking about the Amityville horror.
Hey, you want to buy a Subaru down in Jersey City?
Okay.
How about a Toyota?
Okay. I believe they're...
How about a Cadillac?
I don't believe that is in Jersey City. I believe it was in Long Island somewhere.
No, they're all over the place.
Okay. Anyway, here we go. And I had... Okay. Here we go. So, the Amityville horror, and you might be cringing and be like, oh, that shit is so fake. Just hear us out.
Oh, that shit is so fake.
This event...
Yo, that shit really happened, yo.
What did I say before the show?
Don't interrupt you.
Let me get through the timeline, please.
Oh. Sit still and don't move your legs.
I didn't say that.
Oh, sorry.
This event starts on November 13th, 1974, with a 23-year-old Ronnie DeFeo, burst through a doorway at Henry's Bar in Amityville, Long Island.
Hey, don't talk bad about this guy. He's still alive, okay?
No, I didn't say anything bad about him.
Just saying.
Okay. This is not Gotti, Dave. They're not going to come to the house.
Hey, look at his last name. You see Junior? You think Senior's going to be happy with you?
Don't interrupt while I go through the timeline is all I asked this morning.
I'm just saying, it's how you know.
You're going to shit on everything
No, I'm not shitting.
I say.
It's good.
All right.
I like it.
Okay, then let me say it so you can like it even more.
Oh, I love that.
So he burst through the doorway at 6:30 p.m. on a Wednesday and said, "You got to help me. I think my mother and father have been shot." So a bunch of people from the bar went over to the house, and sure enough, everybody was dead. The whole family dead. His parents, Ron Sr., his mother Louise, his sister Dawn, his sister Allison, his brothers Mark and John Matthew. They'd all been shot with a rifle. They'd all been shot in the back, and they were all found face down in their beds.
This is going great.
Apparently, at that point, they had already been dead 15 hours. So he had shot them at 3 o'clock in the morning the night before. And then whatever he did during the day, I don't know. But at 6:30 is when he decided to go into that bar and tell people that his family was dead. The neighbors did not hear any of the gunshots. There was no silencer used. No one heard any screaming. But you would think after the first shot, everybody would wake the fuck up. So the manner they had been shot, it had been assumed that they had all been sleeping at the time. So he gets convicted. He is clearly guilty of the crime. Six counts of second-degree murder. A year after the murders, not 10 years, not 15 years, the house does not stand empty for a very long time. It goes on the market, probably a relative trying to maybe pay for this guy's his attorney fees. Who knows? And it's bought by the Lutzes. George and Kathy Lutz buy a house, huge, gorgeous house, Dutch colonial, at 112, I think it's Ocean Street.
I gotta tell you, I just came up with a great idea for a sitcom.
112
It's called
Ocean
Meet the Lutzes.
Okay. 112 Ocean Avenue. This is the timeline.
It's almost like
kind
of like the Ropers. Gotta have a Ropers theme song.
Okay. And what happens in
Well, I don't know. The comedy ensues.
Oh, how does the comedy ensue? Are the ghosts funny? Or?
The whole thing is just rip-roaring funny.
Okay.
And it's also dark. It's a dark comedy.
All right.
It's called Meet the Lutzes, or else.
Okay. All right. That's pretty funny. All right. So they are a young couple. He is her second husband. She's got children with her first husband. Didn't work out. They were high school sweethearts. She meets George. They get married, and they decide to buy a house together. Now, this Amityville house, I don't know how willing you would be to buy a house that had people murdered in there maybe 30 years ago. But I certainly don't know that, regardless of the bargain price, unless I was going to flip it, I don't know that I would be able to buy a house that had 6 people murdered in it just the year before. What do you...
I would probably pass on that if possible.
Yeah. But I guess the house was... I mean, look, it's a beautiful home. It's a Dutch colonial. It's on the water. It's got a pool. It's got a boathouse. It's a dream house. It's like an HGTV dream house type of thing.
It's nice.
Yeah. So they bought it. And the story pretty much starts from there. Because there had been people murdered in the house, and because they were, at least she was, a religious person. I believe she was a Catholic. She called a priest over to have it not exorcised, but just to have houses blessed. And back in the day, people, that was a common thing, actually. If you were a Catholic or very religious and you bought a new house, you would just have the local guy come, the local clergy come and bless the house. You weren't getting rid of anything bad, but I think also because they bought a new house and it had such a tragic history, she just was doing, something that anybody at that time who had some faith would do. That's not out of the ordinary at all. So she had him come over, and as the story goes, according to the book by Jay Anson that came out in 1978, just a few years after this all went down, the priest left without saying anything because the priest was told to get out, and he just abruptly left. And so starts their 28 days of haunting, demonic entities, whatever you think happened there. It happened in 28 days after they moved in. And then they got out. The night that changed their minds of, I guess what happened was, according to them,
28 days?
After 28 days, when the boys' beds started moving up and down, and his wife levitated off of their bed, and he was pinned to the bed, so he could grab her, but they couldn't leave the room to go to the boys. And he tried to call the priest when they finally could get up, and they were all freaking out. He tried to call the priest from the kitchen phone. Kitchen phone wasn't working, wasn't letting him connect. So he went into his office, and I guess he had a second line there and was able to call the priest there. And I guess this was, in the morning after all of this had happened, or maybe that night. And the priest said, "Why are you still there?" And it was kind of like, shit, we don't have to still be here. It's that moment where you're like, fuck, I gotta go. So
what is this?
After 28 days, packed up the family and went to Kathy Lutz's mom's house. That's where their story starts and ends.
It's not a true story when it says a true story. That's like Coke Classic. It's not classic if you got to put it on the bottle.
So after that, the things weren't like they are now, where someone like a Zack Baggins will swoop in and buy that house and investigate the shit out of it. Now, if you say you've had an experience, you've got 15 shows at least willing to come to your house and talk to you, or with a psychic and paranormal investigators, and no one's going to laugh at you, point fingers. They're going to say, okay, well, we're going to come help you. Whether it's Zack Baggins or that lady Amy with the cop Mike, or the Paranormal State, or Ghost Adventure, or Ghost Hunters, there are a gazillion ghost shows now. There were 0 ghost shows then. So these people got the fuck out of their house, and I don't think they ever went back in it. They told their story to somebody, to a reporter lady from New York News, Channel 5, WNEW. And she got them in touch with she was their paranormal reporter. She got them in touch with the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine Warren, who came and met with them. And they went to the house with a reporter, with a photographer, probably priests, and I don't know if they exorcised the house or they tried to cleanse the house, but they went twice, once in February and once in March. Since then, no one who's bought the house has claimed to have any kind of paranormal activity. The Warrens, may they rest in peace, said that, well, that's because we cleansed the house. Okay, fine. The story doesn't really end there, though, does it? The book came out. I read the book. When I was little, I read all the time. All the time. It's an amazing way to escape. There weren't that many channels on the television. So books were the best means of escape. And when I say that this book scared the fuck out of me, I'm not even a little bit being an exaggerator. Not even a little bit. So let's kind of get your take so far, Dave. When you were little, did you hear about the story first and then the book and then the movie, or were you kind of just doing your thing and then the movie came out and you didn't know any of the behind the scenes or hadn't heard of it until then?
I just heard about the movie.
It's the kind of house they don't build anymore. A relic of a time when the world wasn't in such a hurry, when there was still time for a little charm and elegance. It has stood empty for a long while, and at the price, it is a bargain. For a growing young family, it is almost too good to be true.
What do you think?
I love it.
James Brolin, Margot Kidder, Rod Steiger in the Amityville Horror.
God's peace in this house. Get out. Get out.
Hello?
Hello, Kathy. Father Delaney, there's something very important.
What's all going on? We have to do something.
I'm coming apart! Oh, Mother of God, I'm coming apart!
28 days after the Lutz family moved into their dream house, They were running for their lives. What happened to them is an experience in terror you will never forget, and you will believe in the Amityville Horror. From the best-selling book that made millions believe in the unbelievable, the Amityville Horror.
So this wasn't on your radar at all.
No, it was not.
That's interesting because you have so many brothers and sisters who may have been at an age where they would have been at least talking about it or something. Not into it at all.
No.
And you guys lived in New Jersey, so right across the way. Well, so the story I've told you, so you haven't read the book. Did you ever see the movie?
Yes.
The story, as I've laid it out here, you think it's not believable at all or somewhat believable so far?
I don't believe it.
You don't believe any of it?
No. I don't even believe. I don't believe any of it.
Okay, that's fine.
How do we know anything? Quite frankly, half this stuff is based off of people's recollection. And what we're learning is that people can't recall shit properly. So I don't know what's fabrication and what's truth. This is one big fucking Kavanaugh trial. I can't see reality from non-reality in the recollection of any of this. I know there's a couple things. I know you have a guy who took over the family who was a demonic weirdo. And I know you have a mother who was neglectful for marrying him. And I know that the son was influenced by the mother and and him, and angry as fuck at the family being ruined by him, and angry at the mother, and angry at all this, angry at his loss of control, and the rest is a fabricated nonsense based on stuff that they actually believed happened. People recall things incorrectly, and then their mind manipulates it to further change the story. You can ask a police officer. They have an eyewitness account. It was a red car with Jersey plates. It's not. It was a brown car with a completely different plate. And they have the car to prove it. It's like, what car was involved in an accident? Oh, it was this car. And then, no. Entirely other car. So why would you think that that's true? And you just believe. You could take a lie detector test because you believe it was that car. It wasn't that car. That's what's going on here.
Well, as it was happening in 75, the Lutzes came together and met with, I believe her name is Laura Didio. I believe that's her name.
She should be put in jail.
She was, like I said, the paranormal reporter from WNEW. And
she should be convicted of child abuse.
She put them together with some... I don't know if it was Jay Anson right away or and the Lorraine and Ed Warren, but they sat down and gave a 5-hour interview about their situation and things that happened to them in that house in those 28 days.
That's the same woman who produced the fabricated photograph.
Actually, that's not true. Anyway,
it's not. What do you mean? How is that not true?
Laura Didio?
No, the Warrens.
Lorraine and Ed Warren produced a photograph that did not look fabricated in the least to me.
I've worked in darkrooms, and back in the 70s, you can burn images into paper so easily. You can that totally looked like an Ozzy Osbourne album cover. It's ridiculous.
Okay. So it wasn't like 30 years later they're retelling the story and it's more fabricated. They spoke their truth for 5 hours during that time. During that December, January, they gave one in-depth interview to somebody who then turned it into a book. The book might have been more sensationalized, and I feel afterwards that they did come out and say, look, it wasn't, not all of these things happened, but the flies definitely happened. the garage door, the dog basically hanging himself. All of those things did happen. There was a whole list of bullet points where they said that these things actually happened to them. I don't know what to say. I am not a person who... I believe that there are ghosts. I believe that there are poltergeists. I believe that there are evil entities out there working against us. I don't know if they're religious. I don't know if it's the devil. They're demonic. But I feel that there are bad things out there. For a family to make up a 28-day nightmare... people didn't do things like this for attention back then.
That's not true.
Name me something else that somebody did for attention back then.
L. Ron Hubbard created a whole religion.
Yeah. L. Ron Hubbard created a whole religion in the 50s and has thousands of people believing him.
He did it for attention.
He did it for money.
This guy George Lutz is the problem.
I don't disagree that George Lutz also is a problem. I don't disagree
the
that.
problem.
Yeah, but what about the murders that happened there?
That's their poor judgment for moving into that house and then having a child be influenced by a lack of knowledge.
So
the house is not the problem. The problem was the 1970s, and the DeFeo kid was a junkie. What are you going to do? Who was probably abused by his parents.
So what we're coming around to is that after all of this has happened, decades later, one of the kids from the Lutz family, little Danny Lutz, agreed to a documentary, and it's called My Amityville Horror, and you can rent it from Amazon Prime for $3.99.
I believe that there is a such thing as evil, and I was a victim of that.
On November 13th, 1974, the house at 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, became the site of a notorious mass murder.
I didn't want to be the Amityville horror kid. I've been running away from it, and it finally caught up to me.
Very shortly after moving in, the Lutz family claimed to have begun experiencing mounting paranormal phenomena.
When I went in there was probably 400 or 500 flies. And we're talking, this is mid-December in Long Island. The entire family is standing there watching the garage door slam up and slam down, and the dog is hanging himself. I had to speak to George in sir.
But at that point, he was your stepfather.
I said, I'm going to call him Dad. You're not my father.
He lived with adults who believed in the occult.
You married this guy. You moved me to his house. What the hell is he into?
They got very deep with something dark and something evil that they totally didn't understand.
Satanic history, devil worship, mind control. I was possessed by a spirit that I could not get rid of on my own. I didn't care if the priests were beating me and performing exorcisms on me, which, if I'm not mistaken, they don't want to talk about.
When the stories start to change, then it's time to become suspicious.
The sensation felt by Steve Petropoulos, our cameraman. He was overcome by something.
This is one of the pictures that their photographer took that night. There were no children and no animals in the house that night.
We remember bits and pieces of experience, but we'll fill in the gaps in our memory.
Maybe this is just manifestations. Maybe you imagined all of this.
I just wanted somebody to believe me.
Show me the evidence.
What took place in that house was a true personification of evil.
I feel it is compelling. I feel he is 100% believable. He's never come out because he is sick of people thinking that their family is liars. He is so confident in what he knows and what he remembers. He is just so compelling. There is just no reason not to believe him. For me, I believe him. I believe that guy.
The bedposts were through the concrete of the wall. Where's that? That no one ever backed that up. That seems one of the most substantial claims. It's just something he says in passing.
Well, that's the other thing. He also talks about his hand being fucked up, and he shows his finger is fucked up from a window that slams on his hands. And he says they go and they try to fix it. They go downstairs. His mom's getting him ice.
That's his recollection again.
And then they both look at it, and his hand's no longer messed up, just the one finger still. So it could have been that this is the thing. Whatever happened to them, it could have easily been some sort of hallucination.
This is the thing, though. This whole story spawned all these ghost stories. Basically, this is like the blueprint for what everyone believes now.
Right. There's always a first one. And that's why
So we're influenced by this, I'm saying. Everything that we think of as a ghost story has its origins in this. I mean, in a paranormal scenario, has its origins in this story and The Exorcist. So that influences what we think. So when we say, oh man, there's flies, well, that's because that image comes from this story.
Right. But if there's hundreds and hundreds of flies...
Yeah, but they were in the upper room. That's the sunroom where flies go. And how do you know you didn't have a backed up septic tank? Plus, they said there was murders. How do we know there wasn't fucking remnants of murder around where flies are attracted like maggots? That's not paranormal. That's poor cleaning.
I got you. I got what you're saying. That's fine. That's fine.
This is a child, and he was neglected by his parents. The father, you can have him if you take him over and take his name. The father just is out of the picture forever. Sure, George Lutz, just take my family and convert their name to yours, and I'll just leave forever. What is he, Johnny Cuckmo?
Yeah, I didn't...
What the fuck is that?
That is terrible.
George Lutz, I mean, look at that guy.
That guy, from what I've read, doing my pre-show prep, my pre-show research, my guess is that George Lutz is a sociopath. Just from watching the documentary, I mean, I'm not saying that guy's a fucking sociopath, like a flippant, calling him a name. I'm saying I would probably guess that his diagnosis is he is a sociopath, as was Ron DeFeo. So maybe there was something in that house that attaches themselves to people with this personality disorder. Not to mention that Ron DeFeo, hair parted on the left, mustache and beard, swooping bang that comes...
But that was a popular hairstyle back then.
I feel like they look exactly alike. They suffer the same mental illness, which it is. It is a mental illness. There are people who are functioning sociopaths out there, but they are crazy. They are batshit crazy. And, but they're too smart to let you know it. So, I don't know. I feel like there's this thing with poltergeists is that they manifest because of something that's happening. They manifest around somebody specific. They're not in the house, but they manifest around a person. So maybe these poltergeists were in the house. They had manifested because of DeFeo Jr. And then they were just there still, waiting to see what would happen. And within a year, another guy, same personality disorder, looks exactly like him, moves in. And if Danny Lutz is to be believed, and like I said, I find him completely credible, Lutz has got all these fucking crazy books about witchcraft and mind control and the occult.
That doesn't matter. That's what people do. That's what people had. People were into that stuff back then. That was the 60s and 70s vibe.
They were into the occult?
You're into understanding and broadening your mind, and the occult is not negative unless you make it negative. There's nothing negative about it unless you use it for a negative purpose.
Well,
I know very little about it, but I can tell you that's for guaranteed.
He said that the guy had, pictures on his walls. This is before
Look at
they
the
moved.
Bible. There's pictures in the Bible that are scare the shit out of a kid.
There are no photographs in the Bible.
There's
there are
pictures
no
I've seen of
pictures
goats
in the Bible.
That scared me that are religious.
That would be the Satanic Bible.
No. Oh, maybe that's what it was.
Yes.
Okay,
Anyway,
so my perspective is obviously coming from a different place.
Anyway,
'Cause the Bibles we had goats in it.
this is the problem. Danny Lutz was saying that George Lutz...
Isn't that a Jewish name?
That George Lutz had...
How are you a Methodist if you're a Lutz? Oh, wait, I'm thinking of a Putz. Never mind.
Had Satanic Bibles in his bookcase with page markers in them,
God
bookmarks,
forbid.
and that he had art hanging up in his house that was not he thought was satanic.
All right, so he's a John Podesta fan. What are we going to do? Tony Podesta.
Anyway,
listen, this is the thing.
This is the thing.
As a child,
yes,
you see things and you misunderstand them. And then when your mother reacts like a lunatic and takes the book out of your hand and says, leave my husband's possessions alone because he doesn't like them fucked with, you misinterpret it as something dark and demonic. And then you manifest it in your head into something more than it is. And before you know it, this guy's levitating spoons.
Okay, I mean you think this is a joke. I think I'm taking it seriously.
I think he's absolutely. I don't see why he wouldn't want to take a lie detector test that he would absolutely pass, because he's delusional and he fully believes it.
I see. I don't find him delusional at all. I would think he was delusional if from the age of 15 on, he used this over and over again to get money, to make a living, to become popular, to sell a book, to promote his band.
That would mean he's deceptional. He's trying to deceive.
Dude, he has kept this shit because of the people who, like you, who come out and point fingers at his family and say, fakers, 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 fakers. You're a liar, nothing you can say. He has lived, changed his name, not told anybody his story. He has lived with this fucking nightmare, this 28-day nightmare that did happen to him. He did know the things that actually happened, and he has been afraid to talk about it for years because of people like you saying, oh, you're just a delusional kid. Nothing is worse to a child or an adult person who as a child was not believed. I'm just saying, when you're a kid and you're not believed,
look.
He shut down completely.
There's ghost stories and there's scientific explanation, and the scientific explanation leads me to believe that his brain is playing tricks on him.
I don't think so.
I do.
So you don't believe in ghosts at all?
No.
When I was living in Englewood with you at a house we bought there, we had so many things happening. One of which, I was pushed down a set of steps. I was physically touched on the back and pushed down a set of steps.
I wasn't home. I just want to let everyone know.
No, you weren't home. I was pushed down. So I'm making that up?
I don't know.
When I told you it happened that day, I was remembering incorrectly?
I don't know what to tell you about that. I don't know.
In the middle of the night when our doorbell would ring, or in the morning...
I am not a mechanic who knows the inner workings of doorbells.
Or in the morning when we would wake up and all of our windows would be open. What, did you wake up? Did you sleepwalk, you think? And open the windows?
I don't know what to tell you.
So our house in Englewood, we had a lot of stuff happening. The push down the steps wasn't a shove. It wasn't like I'm trying to break your neck. It was a push, though. It was a definite push on my back. And I did fall. I didn't fall all the way down the whole steps, but I fell halfway down and I was able to grab something and right myself. So I didn't really get hurt, but it was scary and it was painful, and it was the worst thing that happened. Everything else that happened seemed to be, I don't want to say playful, but it wasn't anything that was going to affect our lives. I mean, the doorbell would go off in the middle of the night a few times. Or maybe lights would go out, but that could be electricity, so I'm not even going to, it was an older house. But the windows being open, windows that needed to be unlatched and pushed open is something substantial. We were there for a few years. We didn't leave because of any of that. But, even though that happened while we were there, you didn't believe it.
No.
What did you see? Do you think I just fell and I just wanted to blame somebody?
I don't know what happened. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
I physically felt something on my back.
That has nothing to do with this guy.
I'm just saying, you say you don't believe anything, so you're not even willing to,
oh my God, over and over again, I've been willing. What are they fucking waiting for? Prove you exist. Otherwise, leave me the fuck alone. I mean, what is this? How old do I gotta be before I see something?
Well,
I'm just so not open to it? Well, then fuck you, ghosts. Fuck you.
I'm not saying that you're not open to the ghosts. I'm saying you're not open to listening to this guy's story. Or
how many years do I have to be on this earth before I get it past that I don't have to believe in ghosts?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Just saying, what it's going to take to what? When am I going to have proof? Why does everyone else have proof?
What kind of proof are you looking for?
I don't know. Move a fucking bed. Shake me. Do something. The fuck is this? I'm the only one?
I don't know if you're the only one, but when I lived in Long Island for a little bit, in Long Beach, Long Island, and
Ghosts are what you make them.
I was renting a basement apartment in Long Beach, a couple blocks from the beach. Long Beach Boulevard, I believe it's called. And I was there with my dog, my Rottweiler Ted, and we would sleep on the couch while watching TV. It was a small little apartment. Ted would sleep on one end, and I would curl up and sleep on the other. And one night the couch started moving. It was moving as if someone was holding it behind my head, holding the arm, and moving it up and down. I opened my eyes because I thought I might have been dreaming, and I looked at the bottom of the couch where my dog was, and he was looking past me. The couch stopped moving. I looked behind me, and there was a Spanish guy from maybe the 70s. He had one of those 70s leather jackets, not the motorcycle kind, but the kind like you might see in like a Starsky and Hutch. He was wearing white pants. The jacket seemed like it was brown. I could see through him. And his head was down. His head was down, like he was looking at the floor, or he was praying, or he was gotten in trouble, and then, when you look down, you don't want to look up. And I got scared to death. I turned back towards my dog, and I said, "You have to go. You can't be here." And that was the end of that. I had two friends come and spend a few weeks each with me at that apartment. My friend Jay and my friend Angelique. We slept with all the lights on. And I was scared shitless in that place for a month. Nothing else happened there. But I did move into the city pretty quick after that. I moved into my apartment on St. Mark's with my Rottweiler. So I've had shit happen to me that is really scary. Scary enough to make me cry. Scary enough for me to beg people to come and stay in the house with me. I'm making it up? You think I'm delusional?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. I think something happened to you.
Yeah. But it's not like I'm not that Dr. Blasey Ford, whatever her name is, 35 years later.
Yeah, but the thing is, it never happens to me. And when I hear something like that, I can't relate to it.
That's fine that you can't. I don't mind that you can't relate to it, but it almost feels like you won't relate to it. Like you won't even try and say,
this is the thing.
I'm married to this person. Maybe she's telling me the truth.
I don't want to be controlled by something outside of my control. So for the very reason that this kid in the documentary manifested ghosts, I don't manifest ghosts. I don't want to lose control of what I have. So I don't allow myself to deal with that shit. Honestly, there's been enough tragedy in my life where I don't need it. That bad stuff happened. That's real. I don't need something that may or may not happen. If it happens, I'll deal with it. But it hasn't happened, and every year I grow stronger knowing it's not happening.
And what if it happened today?
I would take some thought and consider.
But what would you think?
I would definitely think that's odd. I don't know. I'd have to have it happen. I haven't had something happen. But honestly, it's just like... I don't know.
What if there's a gene, that allows you to be open to some things and not to other things? Like, I'm obviously missing the jazz gene, the gene of singing. I don't understand jazz. It confuses me. I can't sing, and that's upsetting. But you can do both of those things.
If I have a gene that makes me not see ghosts, then I have also a gene that should make me angry about seeing ghosts.
But you have a gene that makes you angry just about everything, Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, you can literally watch a comedy and be angry about it.
Did you see those fucking people in that documentary who are licensed doctors? Jesus Christ. I am so far ahead of them. It's ridiculous.
You're talking about the Amityville horror? Which doctor? The woman?
Amityville. Where is that? Down south?
The woman who was the psychologist who had moved from another country, and that was the most dramatic thing?
Beachville. I'm talking about, first of all, the Jew woman who was said she had moved from another country.
Yes.
Okay, now that woman has no business working.
Okay, she...
Second of all...
Well, why? But I found her to be
Look at her. If I was that guy, I would have walked out before we started. You're not worthy of my imaginary story.
His story is not imaginary.
Exactly. You're not worthy of it.
But this is why, another reason why this is the same with the Gotti thing. I like people like that. I like that blue collar.
I need Chuck Zito from the fucking Hells Angels to sit down. That, we can talk. That guy I'll talk to.
All right.
I'm not going to talk to fucking Lisa Klein from fucking Wesleyan with a degree in sociology. Jesus Christ.
Is that what her name was? I don't know her
but
name.
I'm just saying, what the fuck is she? Who the fuck is she?
Well,
she studied some shit in school.
Oh, I've met with lots of people, and I never let my lack of experience ever interfere with my opinion of you.
I feel like the director of this documentary picked her for some reason.
What a dumb cunt.
Maybe she was suggested. I don't know.
Look, the other woman, that frumpy-ass woman with the glasses who looked like fucking Sally Jissy Raphael on a bad day.
Yeah, I don't know where she was from.
Did he imagine it, or didn't he?
Oh, how much did you get paid for that synopsis?
Yeah. Oh, she probably got paid for an hour or two.
I can't put my faith in people who I am superior to.
All right, Dave.
I know I'm superior to them. I am.
There is something called the superiority
this
complex.
Is reality.
There is also something called delusions of grandeur.
Oh, I don't have any delusions of grandeur. I know I'm not a better drummer than hundreds of people who are better than me.
Okay.
Probably thousands.
All right.
But when it comes to those psychologists, I am absolutely superior. I 100% guarantee you.
All right, that's fine.
They are retarded, and to put your faith into them is retarded.
All right.
They're like that fucking that woman from Hawaii. What's her name?
Michelle Malkin.
Believe all men? Shut up. Believe all women? Shut up. Why don't you just believe me when I say shut up?
Okay. All right. Anyway.
I'm telling you, these people in the documentary reminded me of everything that's wrong with the world.
All right. Well,
that's why I don't believe.
Okay. So, again, I found him, Daniel Lutz.
72 and 90, the Mets. That's what you come out with this year? I'm supposed to put my faith into you? You waste of $275,000 million? Go fuck yourselves. That's what I'm saying. All these people, they what the fuck am I doing? It's not just one thing, it's everything. That's why I'm angry.
Okay. Well, I thought maybe eating a meal between...
No, it's fine, Frank Zappa's own son can't play his own fucking father's music. That's why I'm angry.
Which son is that?
It's fucking Dweezil. He's in a fight with his own family over the music, rights to the music in the name of his father. What kind of world do we live in?
Yeah, that's absurd. I'm sure Frank would really love for his kids to play his music.
I'm angry over a lot of stuff, and it all combines into this lack of ghost belief.
All right, well, this 1 second here. Let's just go back because there was the priest.
Ugh, the priest.
Was interviewed.
Father Ray?
Father Ray.
What was he, fucking a member of the Kinks?
Father Ray was interviewed by, I believe it was In Search Of.
I got to tell you, if I was a priest, I would decline being interviewed.
In 1979, just 5 years after this all happened, let's hear what he has to say.
I think he was having an affair with a mother.
Can you please, for a second, please, just watch this?
Mm-hmm. As is common with many Catholic families, Mrs. Lutz asked her parish priest to stop by and bless the house. This blessing began in the sewing room and seemed to set off a chain reaction which would jeopardize the lives of everyone involved. Because of criticism later leveled by other church officials, the priest has never before talked to anyone in the media. In Search Of was able to locate him, and he agreed to tell us his story, but only if he could remain anonymous.
I was blessing the sewing room. It was cold. It was really cold in there. And I thought, gee, this is peculiar. Because it was a lovely day out. And it was winter, yes, but it didn't account for that kind of coldness. I also was sprinkling holy water. And I heard a rather deep voice behind me say, "Get out." It seemed so directed toward me that I was really quite startled. I felt a slap at one point on the face. I felt somebody slap me, and there was nobody there.
Strange events also affected the priest who blessed the house. He discovered blisters were festering on his hands.
I went to the doctor for it, yes, and he couldn't explain it. He thought it might be caused by anxiety, and of course that's feasible. But I don't think I'm given over to psychosomatic responses.
He called the Lutzes to warn George and Kathy. Noise interference prevented any communication.
Kathy?
He could never get through.
Hello.
Hello, what's up with
Hello.
So, that was the actual priest, Father Ray. That was his account, just 5 years after it happened. Do you think that, and he went so far as to say, you have to block my face here.
Right.
I don't want to be seen.
First of all, not that I have a problem with it, but he's clearly Father Gay, not Father Ray.
It doesn't matter.
Second of all, after all this insanity with the them going on their book tour and doing their whole little thing, he says, "Oh, well, it's already been exploited, and I certainly could use all the money that Leonard Nimoy's company is going to offer me. Let me just do this." And maybe Leonard Nimoy's company said, "You know what? We'll spin it like you don't want to be seen, so we're going to cover your face."
God, you're making your own conspiracy. That's even worse.
I'm telling you that In Search Of is full of shit.
All right. Well,
the same people who brought us Bigfoot.
They brought us a video by a man who claimed to see Bigfoot.
Okay. Well, look, we're going to have to agree to disagree on all of this.
So we stopped watching. We watched the My Amityville Horror documentary this morning, prior to this show.
Yeah.
The first thing you said to me afterwards was, "That's a really good documentary."
It is.
Why is it good if you don't believe him? Don't believe the psychiatrist?
Let me tell you something. That documentary compelled me for every minute of it, except for the first time they introduce the backstory of the chick, DePolito, or whatever her name is.
Didio?
Yeah. That's when I got bored for 2 seconds. Other than that, I liked it. And look, I think it's a great documentary. I don't believe a word he's saying other than the fact that he believes it 100%. And I think that woman, like I said, should be charged with some sort of child abuse, child neglect, as well as the Warrens, and as well as both the mother and Lutz.
Well, if you watch the documentary as closely as I did, you'd see that the Lutzes went out of their way to not include their children in any of the conversations with the Warrens or that young lady.
That's fine, but
and that the Warrens asked for permission to take the children on a walk on the beach just to see what they would say.
Did you hear the kids? Did you look to your mom for protection? And he's like, "What? Are you kidding me? I'm here to protect my mom."
That's an Italian kid. That's
yeah. Well, that's not normal.
That is a blue collar Italian kid.
I can tell you that's a problem.
I can tell you that those Gotti children from the other movie would probably say the same thing.
Yeah, look at them.
I'm just saying that as an Italian, if you're an Italian family and you're a close-knit Italian family, as a lot of Italian families are, they do feel that way. They feel about protecting the family. Now, the DeFeos were involved in organized crime. So,
do you think that cross that she had really was off of Jesus's wood of the cross?
I believe she got it from some clergyman who said that's what it was.
I'd be willing to bet millions of dollars that it wasn't. I just would bet you that it had nothing to do with that at all.
See, this is the thing. Dave is speaking as if you've watched the movie with us and you haven't. At some point, Lorraine Warren brings out a cross, a crucifix, and it has pieces of wood, or maybe it was just a cross and not a crucifix. I couldn't really get a good view of it. It had pieces of wood in it that she said were from Jesus'
1927
cross.
Yankee Stadium, Babe Ruth, the Babe Ruth watch.
That's the watch. She said that there was a crucifix
She
wood
is
in there.
delusional too. And was she the prototype for the poltergeist woman?
Lorraine, let me say something about Lorraine and Ed Warren, and any ghost show you see will always credit them. People like to shit on them because of this Amityville horror, but I believe that they believed. I believe that they were not out to make money. They show her living alone without her husband who had passed away, very modestly. A small, tiny little house with, clutter. It wasn't, they were not living high off the hog from all of their demonic and ghost hunting money. So I feel like you might want to shit on the Warrens, but you cannot accuse them of doing it for the money.
I'm not accusing them of anything. I just don't think that they're authentic.
No, I think they are 100% believers of what they're saying.
Right.
I don't think they were out there trying to. I think they believed the movie The Conjuring. I believe they were also involved with that.
Just because you believe doesn't mean it's true.
It doesn't mean it's not, Dave. Just because you don't believe doesn't mean it's not true.
All right.
You're just. Sometimes you just don't even want to give a little bit. You don't even want to say, well, this could happen or this couldn't happen. One time when I was 16, I was working for a diner in Dover, New Jersey, Dick's Diner on Route 46. And, I was 16 and working my way through high school, basically, trying to anyway. And we had regulars there. And one of these regulars was this kid named Danny and his aunt. And I forget her name. But she would come in and she would have her sandwich. She wanted her tuna sandwich toasted, but the tomatoes needed to be cold. And she was very sweet, very cool. It was very fun to have her in there. And one day she brought a photograph in with her. And it was a picture of her nephew holding up a Christmas gift he had gotten that Christmas. It was a duffel bag. Just a Christmas duffel bag he'd gotten. He was holding it up for the camera. Superimposed on that duffel bag was a picture of her brother Tom as he lay in the casket when he had died, say, a couple of years ago. I saw the photo myself, and I was like, what is this? She said, that is my brother Tommy as he laid in the casket. I was like, but you don't have a picture of that. She's like, no, of course not. You don't take that picture. So she's like, I'll send my nephew in. So Danny was a couple of years, I think he'd already graduated high school, but he was from Dover as well. And he was telling me about how his house was haunted. And he told me all of these stories about the same ghost, Tommy. They were big into Halloween, and so they would have huge Halloween parties and with tons of people. Danny's family had probably 5 or 6 siblings of, all close in age, so they would have a house full of people for these parties. And at some point, he was having a party, and this couple came up to him and said, "Hey, where's that guy we were just talking to on the staircase? He was fucking funny as hell. I want to get him a beer or something." And Danny's like, "Where? I don't, who was it?" And they're like, "I don't know, mustache or something. Very funny guy. I think he's a relative." And he's like, "I don't know. If you find him, let me know. The beer's in the kitchen, whatever." So within an hour or so, those people were looking at a bunch of photographs on the stairway, on the wall leading up the stairs, and it was filled with family photographs. And they're like, "Danny, this guy right here, that's who we were talking to." Of course, it was the dead uncle. And so Danny told them, and they were just like freaked out. And that was just one of the many stories there. Another story was Danny's sister was in her bedroom one day with a girlfriend, and they were laughing their asses off at whatever 13-year-olds laughed their asses off in the 80s or late 70s. And she had a big poster, Jesus Christ Superstar, over her bed, over her headboard. And she's laughing, and she's facing her girlfriend. Her girlfriend is facing her, and behind her, behind the sister, was the poster. And all of a sudden, a man's face was in the poster, laughing along with them. And her friend just stopped laughing, and her eyes went wide. The sister turned around, saw the uncle's face laughing along. And I don't think at that point they were scared by him because they knew him, but it was definitely a scary situation for them. Long story short, I started dating Danny. He came into the diner so often. And one day I went to his house, even though I never really wanted to go there because I did not want to encounter anything ghostly. And he and I were sitting at a very, very wide dining room table playing Monopoly. It was just me and him in the house and his dog. And as we're playing Monopoly, I feel someone grab my knee and give it a squeeze, a little 1-2 squeeze, friendly squeeze on my knee. And I look up at him, I'm like, "Cut it out." And he looks at me, he's like, "Cut what out?" I was like, "Stop grabbing my knee, stop touching me." And he looked at me and he put his hands on his arms across the table to show me how wide that table actually was, and that there was no way he was going to be able to grab my knee from underneath the table. And I was like, "Oh, all right." I said, "Must be the dog." And when I said "must be the dog," he looked behind me, and I turned around, and there was the dog sleeping soundly on the couch where he looked like he had been for a very long time. I got up. I said, "Can you call me a cab?" And I waited outside for the cab to come. Never went back to that house again. So I have had quite a few instances. So maybe there is a scientific explanation to it all. I don't know. But I'm certainly not going to shut someone down and say you're making it up, your mind is playing tricks on you, you've manifested this yourself. I can't do it. I've had my own experiences.
Well, all you ghost seers are better than me.
So this has made him angry.
Go fuck yourself, ghost seers.
Okay.
How about that?
Well, why do we as ghost seers have to go fuck ourselves?
Because.
Yes.
I'm missing out on all the fun.
It's not fun. It's a little scary. For me, it was always scary.
For me to decide.
Okay, that's true.
Maybe it is fun. Maybe it's fucking glorious.
Well, why don't you call Zack Baggins and join his crew?
They don't fucking come to me. Maybe I'm angry because I'm missing out. Fuck you, ghosts. Maybe me and Kevin Brennan need to find a better fucking ghost.
What, Kevin Brennan doesn't believe
No,
in
I'm just
ghosts?
saying I sound like I'm an asshole because I don't get ghosted. Go fuck yourself.
I see.
Where
Kevin
the fuck
Brennan,
are you? I'm here.
the definitive
I've been
asshole.
waiting, assholes. Give me something to look forward to. The fuck?
All right.
What? This is all there is? We die and there's no ghosts? Thanks for giving me proof, ghosts. All these other people got lots of proof. Everything to look forward to. Me, nothing.
Well, maybe, like I said, maybe you've got a gene or you are missing a gene. I don't know. Maybe the DNA strands are different for people who have experienced a little something. Or people, it's almost like religion, People have faith without having concrete proof, but their faith is strong and they continue to have it.
Bitch, watch your ass and get the cross out your pussy.
All right.
That's the Black Exorcist.
That's the Black Exorcist. All right. Well, thank you for that. Anyway, my Amityville Horror, if you are interested in the Amityville Horror, whether you think it's fake or real, and you would just like to see this guy's story, the documentary came out a few years ago. I find him comforting. The same with the people from Gotti, where there's something for me about a New York Italians.
Did you notice the similarities between him and Jim Norton?
No.
You didn't see how blinky he was?
Oh. Yeah, well, that's, there are people, that's a nervous tick. People have nervous ticks. It doesn't mean anything. But
I think there's something untold to this story. I think he's done his share of evil.
Not evil, but he's probably...
No, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't drown a cat or two.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
I don't know. They said it followed around when he was in the neighborhood, and they cut that part out. He said it followed me out of the house when I was walking around the neighborhood when I wasn't in school. Yeah, and...
So, okay, well, all right.
And then how that little wink when he...
Wow.
She said you didn't do anything bad. I think he did lots of bad. I think he's bad.
Yeah, but bad and evil are not the same.
I think he's done a lot of drugs too.
But I don't find drugs to be evil.
No, but I'm just saying. I think he's done a lot of drugs. I think he's done some evil.
The evil is. Do you know what?
No one plays tapping guitar who hasn't done evil.
That's not true. Eddie Van Halen has never done anything evil.
How do you know what he's done?
Because I worked for them.
You think you get to be that good and you don't sell your soul to the devil?
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't believe Eddie Van Halen has sold his soul to the devil.
You just get to be that good a guitar player and date Valerie Bertinelli in the 1980s?
Well, that is actually a curse because she is probably not the best person in the world.
I mean, for the first couple months, it was probably good.
But honestly, I feel like, Eddie
Mackenzie Phillips.
Eddie Van Halen's mom, from all accounts I've heard from Al and from Dave, Eddie Van Halen's mom was a whipcracker when it came to practicing your instruments, whether it was your guitar, your piano, your drums. She wanted you, just with their schoolwork, she wanted them to be.
Once big bad bill is a sweet William now.
She wanted them to be very good. She wanted them. She came.
Big bad bill.
Their mom came from a place where they didn't have a lot of opportunity, and she wanted
Europe.
No, their mom was Indonesian.
You mean their dad was Dutch?
That's right.
And their mom was Indonesian?
Yes.
Oh, no wonder he looked so much like a Jimmy Page.
Anyway, so he did not sell his soul to the devil. Not
the devil
evil.
sold his soul to him. That's how bad that motherfucker is. So that's what I'm talking about. Let's turn the tables. Okay. I'm waiting for ghosts to see me. Hey, motherfucker, you see me? Have you experienced me yet?
Okay.
I'm terrorizing your ass.
All right. Okay. So I guess we're done here. You can watch the Amityville Horror or read the book. Imagine me reading it when I was 11-ish, I guess, when it came out. I was afraid to go to the bathroom by myself. I'm sure that really my parents loved that, but I was afraid to look out a window. I was afraid to I was afraid to be alone by myself. And this was a few years after the Legend of Boggy Creek. So, yeah, the 70s basically petrified me to the point where I am still petrified. So if you think the shit in your childhood doesn't affect you forever, you're out your mind, because it does. Yeah.
I saw the Sunshine Boys on Broadway.
Okay.
That's had a prominent effect on me.
That's excellent. Excellent. Anyway, this has been episode 23 of the Middle-Aged Cool Kids Super Terrific podcast featuring your pals Dave and Shecky. If you want to know more about us, please check out our website at middleagedcoolkids.com. You can follow me on gab.com at middleagedcoolkids. And you can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google Play, BitChute, and YouTube. We welcome any and all comments. We have 3,500 followers on Gab. So I love Gab. I love free speech. I don't necessarily always need it, but I want it to always be there. You have anything else you want to talk about? You want to plug real quick?
No.
All right. Maybe next week Dave will be a little less angry. Probably not. And because I'm going to continue the spooky theme, I think maybe next week we'll do ghost shows. And then for our Halloween show that we're going to do a special Halloween episode, I have purchased a Ouija board, Dave.
A Ouija.
Ouija, wait. So
I play gigs there.
All right. I am going to sign off now. We will see you next time, America.
Goodbye.
What?
Goodbye.
What?
What?
What are you saying?
Say goodbye.
Oh, okay. Goodbye.